Welcome back to another episode of Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. And it is Movified Wednesdays. Twinning today, me and Steven. We decided to not know that we were going to wear the same shirt, but why wouldn't you want to sport our watermelon Movified shirt? And today we have Andrew Androff from, did I pronounce your last name? Did I say it right?
You nailed it. You nailed it, Mark.
Beauty. From professionalmovers.com. And he must have had some foresight knowing that we might want to sport this. So he tossed some green to his black and white logo just to make sure that we're all unified. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Andrew, welcome to the show. How's it going, big guy?
Big fan. This is a pretty big moment here. Like, I feel like I should be on the phone calling family, calling my wife and broadcasting this, because this is I've been watching you guys drop these Wednesday podcasts, and I've got to be the first guy that downloads that or listens every week, because I usually go to bed, listen to podcasts. I wake up, same thing, wherever I fell asleep, put it back on. It's typically you guys either going to the gym or driving my son to soccer. You guys are in my car, so you're family famous for sure. My son knows both of you guys, and Brian Slater, yeah. So he'll be pumped once you guys drop this.
That is so cool.
That's awesome. Thank you. I got to say this to Mark too. Hearing that from one of the busiest guys I know is pretty dang cool, Mark. I'll just take a moment to say that Andrew's one of the busiest guys I know in the community. We'll talk about that, and a family man, and just to hear that is pretty amazing.
Same to you, Steve, for sure.
Thank you, Andrew. That means a lot.
Well, for all those that don't know Andrew or have never heard of professionalmovers.com, it is a family-owned moving company. We're going to dive into a little bit of that, but it's been serving the Detroit area since 1978. So it is definitely generational.
Check this out, Mark. You ran through the website.
Professionalmovers.com.
That's right. I just didn't want to skip over that. You may have heard of them, may have not. It's the Professional Movers.
I mean, I own, the real professionalmovers.com. So it really, sometimes we argue who's getting the lead and who's not. But we're going to definitely touch base on getting those domain names locked in really well. But Andrew, you've been Oakland Country's Elite 40 under 40. You are constantly thinking of innovative ideas. One of the ones I really just kind of want to jump into is give me a bit of that history. Obviously the moving company wasn't called, I don't say obviously, it could have been called Professional Movers before the .com era. But what was the moving company started out in Detroit? How was that like?
Oh yeah,
who was involved? Cool. Let's run back there, because I'm thinking late 70s Detroit, and I'm only imagining these old Buick pickup trucks and GMC, one cube vans, that are traveling around town. So give me a little insight of what was going on there.
Bob Seger on top of the world.
On the radio.
We've moved Bob Seger's drummer. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Whoa.
That was years ago. Yeah, for sure. So back to the origins. We actually were named Professional Movers from the get go.
Wow.
Yep. So that's kind of a great name to start off with. Now, the funniest thing about being named Professional Movers, we didn't do any moving. So the first, probably all the way up until, when we actually really started getting into the moving aspect of things, hardcore was 2005. We went through a long time period. We were doing moving. Let me back it up. So my
what
parents,
are you doing then?
Yes. So this is great.
Andrew is a planner. Andrew's a big planner. He comes from a long line of planners.
No, I have to credit. So the name originated from my dad. My dad owned a bar in Northwest Detroit, real tough neighborhood called Brightmoor. And as the neighborhood evolved, the bar became kind of a really tough place to make a living. It was just there was wild stories. I could tell you stories we all have stories in the moving industry, but the bar industry is probably has some pretty equally horrifying stories that happened throughout while you're trying to run that type of business. But from the very beginning, he was living above the bar, and he had to put a big thick steel plate underneath his bed because people would come up and shoot the gun up in the air, and he'd be worried that so it was a tough neighborhood. But it started off, I mean, I could back up and tell you our family really, how it all evolved. It goes back into like the 1920s when I had family that had emigrated from Europe and ended up here in Detroit. Well, originally New Haven, Connecticut, and then they found their way to Detroit. And we opened a confectionery store. And the funny thing, I just went through all this with my grandma. My grandma's 103 years old, and she's actually on our website. Like if you go on our first page, you'll see Grandma Rose. But we went back through and
the celebrity. I've seen her on
awesome.
Your site over the years.
She's awesome. And I'm sure she'll listen to this podcast, and now she'll be a big Movified fan.
Shout out, Grandma Rose. Shout out. Got a lot to be proud of.
We the story goes back to the 20s when they had emigrated here and opened a confectionery store, and that confectionery store was basically a candy shop. Now there may or may not, this has been during Prohibition, so there may or may not have been alcohol served in that confectionery store. The family really doesn't know that or not, but as the business evolved, it evolved from your traditional confectionery store and then into a bar. And then my grandfather my dad had kind of joined him in the bar and ran the bar business. And as the neighborhood evolved and things got a little bit tougher, the bar business or that bar in that location wasn't the greatest spot. And he knew that he had to kind of make a move and decide to get into something else. And at the time he was really thinking about what he wanted to do. There was a furniture store that had taken an ad out looking for help making deliveries. And he went there and, he had acquired a small step van and was making deliveries for them during the day and then bartending at night. And that kind of evolved, and slowly he realized he was making more money doing these home deliveries than he was doing the bartending. And it was about that time where he just kind of made the decision that, okay, I think I want to go all in on this home delivery thing. He had the name, like I said, he started off Professional Movers, but he wasn't moving people. It was all home deliveries. And the home delivery account with that one furniture store turned into one truck, two trucks. And then that evolved with a, back in Detroit, there used to be a, basically we call it like a Best Buy type store. You'd go there and you get your home appliances. And this store was called Fredder Appliance. And it evolved. It started in Detroit. They did a lot of brand marketing. They kind of grew. As they grew, they started setting up shops. And you basically, if you wanted a toaster oven, if you wanted a washer or dryer, that's where you go. He evolved from that furniture account to going in there and pitching like, hey, let me do your home deliveries at this one store. That they gave him a chance, essentially. They put a truck in there. And then from there, he got another truck in there and another truck in there. And really through the mid 80s to early 90s, we rode that wave of Fredder Appliance growing and growing. And we were fortunate because we were running the business out of our family house, but we didn't have to maintain any trucks at the family house. All of our trucks and equipment were actually parked at all these different appliance stores. So our overhead was really, really low to start off.
Did your dad had it structured so that you guys were still subcontractors of the furniture store?
Yeah, it was unique how it went. We were still subcontractors of the furniture store, so we were
do you do any of this business now?
Pardon me?
Do you do any of this business now?
No, our origins are I mean, yes, there's a good chunk of our business still home delivery, but not to the extent of what got us to where we are now. The home delivery was our bread and butter. That was what gave us the foundation to grow into what we are today. But we've evolved. We're a totally different business now. Where we make our revenue is completely different.
Steven, weren't you paying attention? They're now movers. Actual movers.
Well, let's tie it in. Andrew does a few other things. He's evolved the business in a lot of ways.
That's right.
He's very diverse. So I wanted to kind of see, is he still doing somebody else's doc at all in his delivery?
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some VAs, and they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company to fill the right role for our company. And not only that, they helped us answer the questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a VA can be a bit intimidating, but they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our VA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth. and reaching our goals in 2025. So, and the game changer for our company, I'm confident will be a game changer for you as well.
Visit www.readyrolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
Hey, moving owners, if you're not at the top of Google, your competitors are taking the calls and book jobs that should be going to you. You're at war with them, and they are winning because they rank higher than you on Google. At Rotate Digital, we use the perfect blend of AI, secret blog networks, and moving industry SEO experts to make sure your business dominates Google in your area. We go to war online for you so that every Google search turns into your new customer and not your competitors. Stop losing to your competition and become the go-to moving titan in your area. Visit rotatedigital.com today to see who's outranking you and take the next step to booking more jobs from Google.
You guys have this delivery set up. You're now, coming into late 90s, early 2000s. When did that switch happen?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
How old are you during that transition, Andrew? And how close are you to the business?
So when Fredder Appliance really kind of started to wind down, what happened though is they actually went public. They went IPO, and they were going to go all across the nation. And I think they changed the name to Your Electronic Store. I think that was what they were trying to evolve into. So they were really trying to become what Best Buy is today, where you see it everywhere. And as they grew, we grew with them, right? So we had a lot of eggs in that basket. We were very, very dependent on that business. And I think that is what, when they went out of business, because they end up filing bankruptcy and kind of going under, they closed out, and we had a pretty significant amount of revenue tied to their downfall. And that definitely was one of those things that I always remember, as young as I am, those conversations being had. And I laugh because as Steven said, we are really diversified. I mean, we do home delivery, we do courier services for hospitals, we do office moving, we do residential moving, we do general freight, we do liftgate services, we do flatbed services. I mean, we touch almost everything, packing. I mean, we really are extremely, extremely diversified. When I started hanging out with Steven and our group of buddies, like years ago,
Titans.
The OG Titans, when that was about, I feel like I connected with you guys, what was it, like maybe 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there?
Yeah, right
So,
before the big COVID boom.
And I'm watching, and we did residential moving. Well, of course we do residential moving. It's a big part of our business now, but we did all these other touch points. And I remember like having conversations with everyone, and all these other moving companies that I admired so much were so driven and like diving deep and digging out that residential market, that they were just killing it during COVID, right? Because it was like as deep as you can go. And I remember thinking, damn, did I screw up being so diversified right now that I'm not positioned to really take advantage of this incredible windfall that COVID's bringing us with all these people moving? Like, of course, we're busy. We did everything we could. But like anyone, we had capacity issues with how many guys we could bring on and how many trucks we had. So we could only do as much work as we could capacity, fill. But we had revenue sources coming in from all these different segments.
And so you kind of learned that from that lesson back until having all your eggs in that one dang basket when you were little and watching your family cover.
100%. And now you look flash forward to where we are today. I just attended the Michigan Movers Association conference and the annual conference. And I was having conversations with some of our local competitors. And it was like the ones that strictly are, in the just residential market, or whether they're pocketed into interstate business, they all had some tougher year. 2024 was a tougher year for them. And so us being a little bit more diversified and having those multiple streams, we've weathered that a little bit better than probably some of those people in the industry. So we've been fortunate. So, we may have missed the lottery ticket that was COVID, like hitting and digging deep on all those residentials, but where we're positioned today and where we're at now, like I feel it's set us up for success now, kind of moving into the next.
One of the big things that I always push towards is diversification. I know when I had my smaller moving company, it went from, having the staging, furniture delivery account, residential moving, and then we got into like restoration, so that if one or the other was slower, if we had a bad rainfall or bad snow season, and you knew you're going to get the phone call from the restoration business, something happened or a pipe burst or something is going to happen, and you're going to get those phone calls. And it could have been like the January, December's when you're much slower on the residentials or on the local side and residential side. When we switched and I bought Salmons, it was full diversification. We have our delivery team, we have our office commercial team, the office moving. You have all these different areas, and just like when something switches, the interest rates go up, housing market drops, it's a flip, right? Like I remember when COVID first happened and everybody was locked in their houses, and then there was like that whole, I'm just going to stay and do renos because I'm not selling anymore. Well, guess what? All of our university accounts were like, hey, all the students are in here and we have a $500,000 budget that we have to spend. So let's just start moving all the stuff that we were going to spread out over the year and get you locked in. So we were having, from one side, we were super busy on the other side. And I think in the movie industry, if you can structure it and get, having conversations with guys like Steven and yourself that are probably more than open to talk to those guys that are ready to expand, get those conversations going, because you are holding back on such an amazing opportunity to expand out. When you already have it, you have the trucks, you got the tools, you have the guys, right? Like it's just about learning how to get into those spaces.
Andrew and I are both in cities that people aren't running to, markets aren't running to. We're both damn proud of our cities and happy to be there and all that nature. But that's the nature of the beast. Yeah, you'll see Memphis right behind me all over the place. You won't see Andrew without Detroit. But what we're focused on is multiplying revenue without multiplying problems, right? And we got to look at, okay, I have this source, I have this management power. What can they do before I do another location in another city far away? Instead of me doubling my team, what can my team do to weather each storm of a seasonal business? And that's the kind of outlook that Andrew has gone into his business that I see, and that's how I look at it. It's kind of more of a defense. We have these gaps in our business that's so seasonal. I have these resources. I have this team I want to keep healthy, happy. What can we do to kind of all come together and use these resources the best way possible?
Yeah, you hit it on the head, Steve. And there's a lot of parallel. Like when I hear how you talk so well about your team and how you care about them so much, like comes across so authentic. I feel it the same way, because I think the same way with my team. And there's nothing worse than when we all get to like the winter season and we have to go out into the warehouse and we see team members that are doing warehouse type work that's not the natural fit of what they've hired into your company to do. And there's nothing that motivates you more to find other sources of revenue to get your butt out there. And whether it is freight delivery or home delivery or segmented in packing for seniors or whatever it is, we're going to find it. There's no greater motivator than caring for your people and wanting to see your people stay busy and have things to do, because they're looking at you. We hire good people, right? We train great people. We have great people. They don't want to sit in the warehouse and get paid to do nothing. They don't. That's not what they want. To be actively out representing the brand and doing what they originally were hired in to do. And that's our job, is to go find them work. And so it doesn't always mean that we're doing residential moving. So
for sure. So the ones that are listening to this are going, okay, Andrew, like this all sounds great. So your family had the delivery side of things. You guys grew into the residential, and then, you started diversifying yourself. But there had to have been some type of like marketing incentive, some type of like, campaign to kind of get, the business in there.
Professional movers.
Exactly. Right. So what was some of the steps that you took? First, I want you to discuss how you got the domain name. Was it just one of those whims where you're like, cool, it was back in the day when you could get some fantastic domain names that were going to be key players, or did it cost you money? How did you figure that out? That's question one. And the question two was, what was some of the marketing incentive campaigns that you took in to go, okay, like we need to build business. We need to get these moves of people that are moving into Detroit or out of Detroit. And how did you apply that? And what year was that when you were doing it?
So let's start with the name, right? Professional Movers. So people were calling us for moving services because, of course, our name is Professional Movers. And we'd take these calls and be like, we're actually a delivery service, and try to explain that. We sounded like idiots, right? Like, we don't actually do a lot of moving. So the moves that we were doing up until, like, say, call it 2005 were if they were if they were, say, owners of the home delivery companies that we were doing, or family friends that we were moving, there wasn't a lot of moving that we were doing up until that point. So when we transitioned into, flash forward to like now we're adding different services and we're starting to get into moving, and now it's 2005 and I came back into the business, and I had realized that I wanted to actually, pursue a good, well, we had a good brand, but we had no way to tell us apart from other people that call themselves professional movers. And it drives me insane. Like, you would have like professional movers down in North Carolina, professional movers over in Arizona. And it was like, it made me like, I was like, I'm professional movers. Like, what I thought was, well, there's only one way to really differentiate ourselves. And it's like, well, there's only one professionalmovers.com. How do I get that domain so I could be truly the professional movers, right? Or that brand name. So part of my marketing plan, my background is marketing. So part of my marketing plan was every year I'd get online and I would email the guy that owned professionalmovers.com. He had it parked. He was using it for like lead gen. And I'd send him a nice email like, hey, I'm putting together my marketing budget. I'm interested in purchasing your domain. If you're ever interested, let me know. And he'd send me something back and it'd be like, no, I'm not interested. This went on for like 4 years of like, we'd play tag back and forth. I'm like, whenever you're ready, please keep me in mind. So we were Pro Movers Inc. Well, let me go back. We were actually, when I first started, I was deliveryprofessionals.com. And one of our buddies in the group chat, like, used that the way back. And so like, I just went back, the way back domain that kind of shows you what websites used to look like. So our first website that we created was deliveryprofessionals.com, because we're delivery, right? We did deliveries. And then when I came into the moving side in 05, 506, I came in, I bought professional movers, promoversinc.com was my second one after Delivery Professionals. And then but I always wanted professional movers, but it wasn't available. So I just kind of had that conversation back and forth with this guy every January, every February. The emails were being sent back and forth. And then in 2009, the guy was like, I think I'm ready to sell it. And he reached out to me and it was awesome. But then now I had never purchased a domain from anyone other than like, you do the traditional, like what would have been GoDaddy.
How much was it?
Yes.
Back then, I want to say probably like around $5,000, maybe $10,000.
I'm gonna go 15.
Higher or lower? Higher? 25,000.
Nailed it. So I was now, but $25,000 to me was fucking massive, right? That was half a truck. Back in 05, we were buying GMC moving vans for $50,000, right? So this was so 25K was like,
I won the Price is Right. I just want to throw that out there.
Come on down, Steven. So now we negotiated the price. That's what it was. That's what we settled on. The issue was I'd never purchased a domain, so to me, I'm nervous, right? Because this is like,
Are you gonna get scammed? Is it gonna get transferred over? Yeah,
massive purchase. Yeah, and so this guy that owned it lived in the Cayman Islands because he had a bunch of domains. He was the salesman that was representing the broker. The deal was up in Vancouver near you. And then the escrow company where I was holding my money and they were holding that park domain was in Ohio. So it was like I had all these three things. I remember sitting down, I'm like with my brother and with my dad, and they're like, are you sure about this? And I'm like, I'm as sure as I could be. Like, I vetted it. I did as much as I possibly could. But at the end of the day, it was like there was still a risk that
I can only imagine not knowing your dad that's sitting there and being like, son, like, I'm trusting you on this, but this kind of money for a domain name, it's like telling someone in like 2012 being like, come on, you just got to buy, Bitcoin. It's only $600 for like one Bitcoin. And someone going, I'm not spending $600 to buy nothing online,
Yeah, it was full risk. It was as risky of a move as we could possibly do at the time, with the limited knowledge we had.
But now you fast forward and you're looking at, okay, now I own this domain name. It's fantastic. I know that from the Google search mentality and algorithm of 05, 06, or like, sorry, we're talking 2009, 2010, compared to now, where I've had conversations with, all these SEO guys and all the ones that are on the web saying it doesn't really matter to have professional movers. It's whatever's going to work. Like, you don't need all these different keywords. Has it grown? Has it constantly been like, wow, okay, having this domain name was so beneficial to us? Or was there a timeline in between, 2010 to 2025 where you're like, yeah, it was great in the beginning, and then we had to just more focus on our content and what we're putting out there compared to having that keyword domain name professional movers?
No doubt. Like when it first started, that organic search and the term having the professional movers as your domain name, or professionalmovers.com as your domain name for searching things was like massive, right? We had a huge flood of leads that had come in, and it did spark a big chunk of growth for us. And you talk to SEO guys now, like you said, that domain, that unique domain name isn't quite as important. But when you have a conversation with an SEO guy and they're like, holy shit, that's your domain name. And then you match that up with a really strong brand, and then you match that up with a good reputation. And then it's like, okay, well, now that's the secret to like the whole deal. Right. So like when we talk to SEO guys, they kind of fall over themselves like, oh, that's, they want to, do our SEO only because there's so much huge opportunity in that segment. And we, up until now, we've grown, not only, organically, but also organically in how we do it. My nephew's like our digital marketer. So he is actually on board with us, went to school for that. So it's kind of what he does. So he does a lot of our in-house digital work.
Everything you'll notice about Andrew is his branding's everywhere. Look at the background right now.
I love it.
Look at his shirt, man, and look at his latest truck. You want to talk about one of the, if not the, in my opinion, the most beautiful truck wrap in this country. Andrew's rocking his latest truck. But everything about him is kind of, Mark, you're an I story, and a lot of us out there, we do all these kind of like, we kind of go in branding's kind of last. We get money, we invest in branding later after we can pay bills. Andrew's different. He went straight to branding.
Moving companies, referrals are the best leads, right? But communicating with customers, tracking progress, managing payouts, it's just overwhelming. That's why at Snowball, we do it all for you. And we're really good at it. In fact, in just a few months, the Snowball platform helped JK Moving generate over $200K in new revenue. We even helped New City Moving book 30 moves in a single month. If you have happy customers, we can get you referrals. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get the first 2 months on us.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
And Andrew, with like on your side, with a lot of our listeners, what do you see a lot of moving companies do that you're shaking your head at? A lot of us that you're kind of like, oh man, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities out there, I guess would be a good one with your branding line.
So my background was marketing when I went to college. So that was what I was obviously attracted to. The actual logo itself, I want to give credit to my brother because he actually kind of helped, have the foundational idea of what that design was. So my brother Don actually kind of had created that. So I got the ability to take.
That's another episode, Mark. We got to get Don on.
Yeah.
I had the ability to take that design that was created and wasn't rolled out across all of our trucks. And I got to do that. So that was like the first, opportunity to kind of like get a branding play in there. But, and obviously like, when you set up a foundation of wearing something or designing something that you like to wear and you enjoy wearing, it just makes the sale so much easier. But it also, the logo itself and going through that trademark process and then getting it on our shirts, getting it on our trucks. There's a certain amount of pride that you see, an elevation and pride with your own team when they get cool stuff that goes with it. And we're really good about, spending money on the places that most moving companies won't, right? So like our guys get really cool puff jackets in the winter. They get really, the more like modern streetwear type heavy hoodie that you see that some of the younger generation are kind of hip to.
I've known Andrew enough to see every year's gear and get excited about it. Andrew keeps up with the style.
Our guys are too. Yeah, it's part of like their Christmas bonus, right? So the Christmas bonus we always roll out. How I do it, like with gear, we'll spend more money on it, and I don't care that it's like, I don't consider it like a a bad investment, because I know that there's more people that wear it and that they wear it with pride outside of work, and I'm okay with that. Like I want that. I want people to ask me.
You also run, like, I mean, we have it where we have the budget of going, okay, we're just going to get a simplified long sleeve t-shirt, right? Because of the weather and everything else. So we have, and like your standard t-shirts for the guys that, here's a t-shirt, here's a long sleeve. You might be here for 3 months. You might be here for 3 days. And we just want to make sure you have the stuff. But then like we make
Can I
sure
just say about that real quick? Cause you just made me think of something.
Yeah.
So you got a standard t-shirt to long sleeve. That's great. Okay. Cause you got a lot of guys wearing that. There's weather issues. Now, and I don't know, cause I haven't seen all your gear. You do have some sweet gear. In fact, the hat you wore at Moving Titans, I thought was really, really dope. That's Sam's hat.
Yeah.
But now you think about that. Okay, now you got a lot of opportunity to do something with that shirt. It's just a long sleeve shirt, right? When you just think of it like that. But what can you put on that shirt that your guys can identify with, either that ties them to their community or ties them to a core belief of your company that they can get behind and embrace? And where can you put that on your shirt? Like, so many guys miss an opportunity of like using a sleeve where it all of a sudden that long sleeve shirt that looks like a work shirt just went from a work shirt to kind of a hip looking cool shirt because you added a little extra design or a little
Which
flair
is
to
what
it.
we just did with our hoodies, our new hoodies that like flew off the market, because we had our logo and then we had Sammons go on the side. Now, when I redo it again, I want to put down Vancouver.
Yep,
Like,
that's great.
Down the armor, some of that, because I have this is why we're both in our backgrounds in marketing and branding. For me, I look at it going, I want my guys to want to wear it to the grocery store. Like if I'm walking around, I'll throw my hoodies on all the time because I'm sporting it. It's my company. But at the same time too, I kind of want some nice stuff. Like I want some cool stuff that's going to look cool, which is why when, my artistic, outlook, because we have to still be very corporate in the moving world, or at least in our company, is where I get to explore that with Movified, right? With all the cool shirts, the different styles, the way I promote it online. And because,
Mark and I didn't plan this, by the way. We did not plan
No,
to wear
not
the
at all.
same shirt. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we both wear this shirt in life all the time.
But when we kind of expand on the idea of how we market our business, if I drive down the street, and I was watching this this interview today where this famous YouTuber was saying, if I'm driving down the street and I pass a cow, nothing special about this cow, right? I carry on. But if I drive down the street and I see a purple cow, I'm probably stopping my car. I might take a photo. I might get home and be like, guys, family, like, you won't believe it. I just saw this purple cow and let's go back and go take a look at it, because it stands out. It's something completely different. And if we're not doing that from a marketing aspect, whether it's the way we market online with our videos, our images, our trucks, our guys, I'm not saying to go dye your hair purple and go out and do a move, but have something that really stands out.
Wouldn't be a
and is
bad
unified.
move. I mean, if everybody's down to
if it
dye their hair
works,
purple.
that sense of push is really what's going to be big.
Both of you guys later in your careers, maybe Andrew a little earlier, if you had $5,000 for our viewers, you're recommended spend that $5,000. Make sure your team's proud of it. Make sure it's something you're proud of, right? Do your dang brand. I keep hearing that trend for all of us as we get further down the road. That money we all wish. I'm sure even Andrew is suited like before. He wishes there's a little time before he made that decision. But that's what I hear, is that $5,000 putting towards that, just kind of getting your pride, spend it on your guys, spend it on what you wear, your swag. It's pretty key, unless y'all disagree there.
Yeah, no, and you don't have to get crazy, right? Like you don't have to get crazy in terms of like your high spend. Like you don't have to go out and get Nike shirts and Adidas shirts, right? Like there are so many comparable brands that are dry fit that are just high quality. And you get them down
Gilded.
to $4 a piece, right? You just got to find the one that works for your environment, right? Like you might need something a little bit a little warmer up where you're at there in Vancouver.
No, usually just tighter, because you gotta. No, I'm joking.
But yeah, no. If I said if you had $5,000 to put towards marketing, yeah, I would look at like where you're gonna get your biggest bang for the buck, right? So like where one let me grab something. Like what one thing that like you guys might use in your colder weather.
We're used to Brian going off for a minute, so it's we can fill the time. I'm intrigued. This is exciting. We don't know what we're gonna see.
I am. Well, and maybe Andrew's.
Well,
what do you got?
This is the cheapest thing you can get your guys, and they'll love it during the winter.
Move your camera there.
A little bit, yeah. Oh,
yeah, the toque.
All that is your traditional winter cap, right?
Oh, I'm choked. I want to go run and get my toque. We got like a vintage.
What are you calling that?
You know where you have it? It's a toque.
I've never heard that one.
You Americans.
He called it a toque.
We call it a beanie.
Beanie, skull cap.
But the thing about it is that with these beanies, these are about, I call them like $9 a piece.
Yeah.
Stamped with a giant stamp on it, and it's not stitched. And these are like, we know we're gonna run through a ton of these, so I just ordered a ton of these, and they just become giveaways. They're just part of that Christmas package, and we just renew them every year. But they work really, really well.
It's like you're coaching a sport. You're running a sports team. The guys like to be proud of their team. I see that's how you kind of run it. And I like that.
That and it goes beyond like even what you put your guys in for what they wear, but like even like if you could put it into your home protection kit, like those logos in, because you're going to use those for social media, and your clients are going to see it. Like so when you see our door protection that goes up on the door, it's got our nice giant logo, and it's got our trademark slogan, "Relax, I'm a professional." It's the first thing they see when we walk into their house.
And do you have your logos put on your floor runners as well too?
So that's the one thing I haven't done, and I've seen some other movers do that. I just haven't looked into like where we'd go to do that. But
okay, cool. I was lucky enough to get someone to bring it up to here. So this is a toque, and so what we did was we actually had our logo sewn into it, so that when you sport it, it's like it gives that kind of cool vintage look, and it keeps everybody warm.
That's cool. I need one of those.
Most guys that will do a hat, right? They'll just do a small little logo. So it's just what you did with that salmon.
No, I like it nice and big. Yeah,
it's great.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just everything's an opportunity, right? So you gotta maximize whatever you can with whatever dollars you can.
Hi everyone, it's your favorite mover, Austin Yarbrough, and welcome to my school. The school is named Moving Army because it's inspired by Andy Elliott's team, and we've got some amazing changes coming for the moving industry, and I can't wait to work with you. In this school, we will be doing a 100-day fitness challenge. Wow. So what this means is we are going to be working out for 45 minutes minimum physical activity for 100 straight days. Stay tuned for more information, and let's get moving.
One of the things I want to echo, and Andrew, if you agree or disagree, is one thing. Okay, great, you got $5,000 you want to put towards branding. When you are initially coming up with the name and you're trying to figure out a logo, what I found that a lot of young entrepreneurs, whether it's in the moving space or not, that I sit down and talk to, is going, okay, great, that's a nice logo. Maybe you can put it on a shirt. Is it going to work on a hat? Is it going to work on a brochure? Is it going to work on a truck? Like, how does that look of that logo? And do you have different variations? How can that variation work if we tweak something here or change something there? Because a lot of the times, you see someone getting their hats done and their hats just look like garbage because their logo didn't work, or they had it sewn on their shirt, and it's like, guys, like, it just, maybe go get a patch. So I always highly recommend find someone, whether it's in your area or online, or talk to the other moving professionals out, DM us, right, and message us, because we can guide you to at least someone that can consult you, or someone that we know that can say, okay, let me build you a branding package and then you run with it. I'd rather spend like $2-3 grand on someone to say, hey, this is my idea, this is what I want to build, especially if I don't have someone there, and can you build me a branding package that's going to, you know, make sure the pages that I print, all of it, right, is going to be cohesive from start to finish. I mean, to have the logo in there, you walk out of my office, you see the red, white, light blue, dark blue, like that's Salmon's, right? And it's our signage is everywhere. Those are the colors. We stick to the colors like within our company. That is so important. Do you agree to that, Andrew? Your comments on that?
Yeah, no, 100%. If that foundational logo that you create, you want to have it as you want to be able to use it in as many different conditions as possible. You want it to be legible. You want it to have, if you're going to add some type of element to it, like a character or something, you want it to be very relatable so that when the client sees it, they know what you do without even needing to read your name, if that helps, right?
Totally.
Whether it's two guys moving or some guys doing it, it just, all that ties in. And that's like the same thing, like why it was so important to me to get to acquire professionalmovers.com is because it made my life as a marketer so much easier. You know, once we own the domain, we then transition the company name to professionalmovers.com, and it just says what we do, right? So it's like I'm meeting someone and it's like, how you doing? I'm with professionalmovers.com. Oh, okay. That's not only tell them the name of my company, I'm telling them where to go to find us. So it just made that process so much easier. And I rinsed and repeated that when we came with the rental crates concept. So like our plastic moving boxes, I wanted to come up with a name that made the most sense, that just explained what it was, and that it took the consumer right to where they needed to go to find it. So
let's touch base on that one, because I want to talk about rental crates, but I want to throw in this little tidbit of information. This is a good one to finish off this segment, so then I know where my timing's at, and then we're going to start the next one. To end off this part one, for all those people that watch our show, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify, please make sure, because we love all you guys, we want to make sure we're still pumping out really good content, to like and subscribe and hit that 5-star rating on us. But at the same time too, people have seen me with like a black eye at all kinds of different situations because I'm always committed to this show. Well, my office, I thought, you know, the back wall behind me is fairly close to our warehouse. And I thought, shit, what's going on? Like I feel like the forklift just kind of went by or something like that. And my office manager opened up my door knowing that I'm in a podcast. She goes, well, you were talking, Andrew? She's like, you know, that was a 5.2 earthquake, because like everything was shaking.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
And I didn't want to interrupt what you were saying or anything else. This earthquake was going on. And yeah, I was just like, yep. I'm like watching the lights shake a little bit. My table was like shaking. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Whew.
Everything okay? I mean, everything obviously like
I don't hear people screaming and yelling, and I don't see my warehouse manager running into my office going, the vaults fell, pianos everywhere.
So to be continued. To be continued.
I'll be like, I gotta step out for a second. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Is that common?
No, not at all. That's why I thought it was a forklift, and maybe my warehouse guy like banged into something, or who knows, right? Like,
and 5.2 is pretty. Obviously in Michigan we don't get them, but we read about them in the news. 5.2 is pretty massive, right? That's pretty big on the scale.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, again, Vancouver is not known for earthquakes, right? Like we don't really get them. So perfect. Awesome. Okay.